Hey guys, Coach Joe from Ludus Performance Gym in West Windsor, and today we're going to talk a little bit about nutrition and how to prep yourself for success throughout the week. So one of the most common questions I'm asked as a coach is, Coach, how do I put on some muscle or how do I lose body fat? And I always tell them, there's two components. There's your exercise program that is going to consist of some kind of cardiovascular training as well as some kind of resistance training. And with those, you need to, one, ultimately have fun, because with that, we want that to be a lifestyle change. And if it's not fun, you're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to stick with it long term. With both, we also want to do some kind of progressive overload with both of those. We're going to talk about that in a different video. But even then, like when I talk to my clients, everybody thinks that's the most important part. It's like, I go to the gym, I work out really hard. I want you to think about it this way. If you go to the gym 2 hours a day, every single day, 365 days of the year, and I do not recommend that, but let's say you do, that ends up only being about 8.33% of your entire year. That's nothing. I tell my clients that train with me 2 to 3 times a week, they go, Coach, I'm with you, 8 hours a month. I'm with you 12 hours a month. And I'm seeing great results, but I want to see better results. I tell them, well, listen guys, you're with me 1 to 1.6% of your entire year. So the rest of that is what, all that time on your own, that's really what comes down to how you're going to get to your goals. So with that in mind, I break down that second part into what I like to call recovery. So recovery aspect includes hydration, it includes sleep, and it includes nutrition. Hydration, you need to make sure you're drinking enough fluid throughout the day, as well as making sure you maintain a nice sodium, calcium, potassium, magnesium balance. With sleep, you want to be getting about 6 to 8 hours every night of high quality sleep where you're not waking up throughout the night. You're waking up feeling refreshed. So that's another huge component. And then after that, it's nutrition. It's making sure that you're getting in the appropriate amount of calories for your goals, as well as high quality products and high quality food and nutrients that you need ultimately to make sure you're staying energized, make sure you're achieving your goals, and you want to make sure that it tastes good so that you can, again, keep this long term and make this a total lifestyle change. So then when people ask me, okay, so with nutrition, how do I even start? I like to tell people to find themselves a macro or a TDEE calculator. You can find that on Google. We're going to link one that I personally use for all my clients and myself in the description below. But once you find that, it's a total daily expenditure calculator. It's going to basically ask you a few questions like your age, your gender, your height, your waist circumference potentially. There's different versions of it. You'll fill in all the information, and what it's going to do, it's going to come up with a overall general calculation for what your calories should be throughout a day, every day. Now, with that, you can take their recommendations for the macro split as well, or you can come up with your own. Nutrition, just like exercise, is very individualized. For me personally and for my clients, I typically tend to give them higher protein numbers. I like to do carb cycling for myself. On days where I'm very, very active, I do higher carbs. And on days where I'm kind of relaxing and I'm not really in the gym, I usually go with a lower carb day. Fats, I keep a little bit lower just because for me personally, I do better on lower fats. I don't feel as bloated. I feel more energized when I have lower fats. And there are people who are conversely different. I have a client he does a lot better with his higher fats and lower carbs. So you're going to play around with those numbers and you're going to make it work for you. And we can talk about in a different video as well, kind of how to figure out those numbers on a more thorough level for yourself. Once you get those numbers and once you kind of figure out what your calories are, I always tell people the best way to do it is instead of every day figuring out okay, what am I eating today? I usually say take about an hour, maybe hour and a half in the beginning to sit down the week before and plan out what you're going to eat. I like to make almost a weekly menu for myself where I basically, now that I have my macros and I have my numbers, I will use something like a MyFitnessPal or a chronometer. They're different, basically macro apps that you can use. There's plenty of them out there. Choose which one that works best for you. And on chronometer, what I do is I plug in kind of where I want to eat first. For me, I love breakfast. That is my favorite meal of the day. So what I like to do is I like to have a big breakfast. So I will actually plug in my breakfast first of the foods that I really want that week. And from there, I will then see, how many macros I have left. How much protein do I have left in the day? How much carbs? How much fat? And then I'll plan out my lunch. I'll plan out my post-workout meal. I'll plan if I have another meal after that, and then I plan out my dinner. I eat quite a bit. But so that's kind of how I do it. I create this weekly plan. I create this menu so that when I then go to the grocery store, I have exactly what I need to buy. I think oftentimes we don't plan for this and we end up going to the grocery store. We start seeing things if we're hungry and we start just buying things just to buy. And a lot of times if it's in the house, for example, like if I have Oreos because I had people over and I created some awesome dessert, and if there's any Oreos remaining, I'm gonna eat them. So I try to make sure that my grocery list is whole foods. I usually stick with organic meats or vegetables, as well as fish. And then I do buy occasionally, which you'll see back here, some boxed item stuff. And I'll kind of talk about what to look for with those and what not to. And yeah, I get my list, I come home, and then we follow the plan. So that's what we're gonna kind of talk about today. I'm gonna kind of go over what I bought at the store. I went right before this video to show you guys kind of this is like what a day or a week in the life of me is kind of like. Now what's not shown here is my meats. I do like to buy my meats from like Butcher Box. I think it's a high quality meats, as well as they really have awesome selection of like different types of cuts. So I typically tend to get my meats there. And I did not bring them with me right now. We're also not in my house. This is not my kitchen. I wish it was. It's beautiful. But yeah, so besides that, it has pretty much everything else that I would eat in a week. Now, with that being said, we're gonna kind of go into now what it's like to actually meal prep. So like one of the essential things, or actually a few of the essential things that you really need are a food scale. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't wanna measure out my food. Well, it is especially in the beginning for beginners, it is a very eye-opening experience because you will realize that there are oftentimes you are over measuring what you're eating. You're giving yourself too much credit on what a portion size is. And oftentimes when you weigh it, you're like, oh wow, I'm way off. And you'll see that's where these extra calories are coming from. Typically, what I like to do is get everything laid out, and then I usually start by weighing my meats first. I like to cook all my meats ahead of time. For my lunches, I will cook dinner at home every night just because I usually have fish and I don't like to reheat fish. But what you do is you will cut up what you want, you lay out a plate, you'll measure it, usually uncooked. You want to measure all of your stuff pretty much uncooked. Same thing with your pastas, your kind of starchy carbs as well. The only thing for me personally I don't really measure out are my vegetables, just because I usually have a lot of greens, high fibrous type vegetables, so I don't really count them as much unless I'm in prep for something. So besides that, I kind of count those as like free calories. Again, I think a food scale is important. It does need to be expensive. You can get one on Amazon for like 10 to 15 bucks. And then another thing is a chef's knife. High quality chef knife, because you really only need, like, in my opinion, like one type of knife to kind of make sure you can prep everything out right. And then other than that, I mean, just any kind of plate, any kind of bowl, a glass, because you can fill up your liquids and measure that in the scale, your plate, same thing with all your vegetables and foods. So that's really it. All right, guys, now that we have gone over how to set yourself up for success with your nutrition throughout the week, if you have any other comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section below or reach out to us on our Instagram, Ludus Performance Gym, or on our website, ludusperformancewestwindsor.com. If you also would like a one-on-one consultation with myself or one of my coaches on staff, you can reach out to us on any one of these mediums and we will get back to you. If there's anything else that you are looking for in terms of content, please reach out to us as well. We would love to hear what it is you guys are looking for so we can help you guys on your fitness journey. If it's about nutrition or if it's about exercise programming or exercise selection or even tutorials, they will be coming soon, but we would love to hear what it is you guys are looking for specifically. So please reach out and stay tuned for more.